Hi, everybody. My name is Stephanie, and I'm with Eagle Therapies. And so I know a lot of people were interested in this webinar just because I was invited to teach this at a couple of different events, but for some reason, I have taught it at different events before, but some of the more recent ones have kind of fizzled out or anything like that. So I decided to try and make it a webinar. So the last one wasn't that well attended just because it was my first time doing it and I started 30 minutes late. So what I plan to do is delete the previous webinar that I have on my YouTube channel, and then eventually I will be loading more stuff. So stay tuned, you guys, because it's going to be an awesome ride with technological advances and stuff. So anyway, my name is Stephanie Seeger, and I'm a licensed veterinary technician in the state of Virginia. I've owned Eagle Therapies since January of 2014. It previously started as a different business with a co-conspirator, so to speak. But then things kind of developed in our own paths, and I decided to take my own type of spin on my own energy work and everything like that. So I've also been involved with essential oils for probably the past maybe 4 years. I've got maybe I'm either trained or certified in about 15 different of holistic remedies, or like, say, for example, I'm a Reiki master, also a Runewalder master. I also do tuning forks, and I do crystal therapy. So for anybody that's into more alternative medicines, I explore in integrating it with kind of your healthcare practitioner, as well as a couple of other different people that are out there. So but without any further ado, this webinar is going to be for essential oils and energy work. So if you don't want to learn about this stuff, then I'd probably suggest clicking on another topic. But if you are here, then hey, you made it. And guess what? I made it too, because I made this webinar, and and it's actually on time. So I'm very surprised at myself and very proud. So so let's just go and start with the nitty-gritty. So what is energy work? A lot of people get confused by that because I advertise myself as both a shamanic practitioner and an energy worker. I have been a shamanic practitioner without really knowing it for a very long time, like probably close to like 10 or 15 years, because I kind of got through into this at a very early age. And so I had no idea what to call any of this. And so I haven't really been getting formal training until the past couple of years, which was hence why I decided to open up Eagle Therapies in 2014. So all of this has kind of come together, and a lot of people that are probably watching this webinar are going to be like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with the path that she's talking about. But for others who are here, I tend to teach a lot of 101 type of things because the way that I explain things is a little bit easier for some people to grasp. So when I say energy work, there is a basis in a breakdown of the 4 different bodies that I will talk about. The 4 different bodies are going to be the mental, emotional, the physical, and the spiritual. So only one of those bodies we can actually see with our actual eyes. The other 3 are invisible. And because they are invisible, you can't really see emotions. Well, I mean, you can. Hypothetically speaking, we're hypothetically speaking, of course, but with the emotions as well as thoughts, you can't really see a physical representation of that. So that's why a lot of the time, a lot of different things in terms of emotional work or in terms of spiritual work, it can kind of get clustered under what is called or known to be as energy work. So without further ado, let's find out how everything all integrates. So I'm going to try and see if this works. Screen share. Yes. Ha! Start screen share. Look at that. You guys should be able to see this. So this is actually a picture, because as we talk about the mental, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual bodies, they are going to be all connected with the 7 chakras. So depending on which cosmology you come from, it varies on the amount of chakras that one. The 7 chakra set is going to be the most common that is found in Western contemporary culture. So down here at the bottom, which is red, we have the root. Then we have the navel, which is orange, the solar plexus, which is yellow. Green, which is the heart chakra. Then we've got the throat, which is kind of like a purplish type of color or light blue, depending on how you see it, like which practice that you grew up with, et cetera, et cetera. And then we've got the third eye, which is typically represented as like an indigo or some color thereof. And then we've got the crown, which can be purple or violet. I tend to view it as white, but that is how I work with it. So let's see how to get back here. Oh, wait, present to everyone. What does that mean? Screen sharing and presenting to everyone. Stop screen sharing. Hey, and I'm back. I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get the flow of everything. So as we go through these technical difficulties, so yeah, so those 7 chakras are actually all aligned, and they are kind of like the highway system of how we can access the physical, mental, you can't see my fingers, the physical, mental, emotional, as well as the spiritual body, where they all intersect. Depends on who you ask, but I'm presenting the information to you as I know it. So then that way, when I go through the rest of this presentation, kind of get a basis of my understanding of energy work. So I'm not saying that anybody else's understanding of energy work is wrong. I'm just presenting the facts of this is how I do energy work. And these are how essential oils can be applied to something like that. So essential oils are a wonderful asset, and they are a tool. So a lot of different people use different tools in order to get the same result. One of the reasons why I like essential oils is because they're effective. I used to do herbology beforehand. Herbology required that that you had to store different herbs in different compartments. You had to, if you harvested them yourself, you had to worry about wild crafting, organic things, et cetera, et cetera. Then sometimes they got moldy. If you had the regular plant, then you had to figure out how to deconcoct it or how to make like a poultice or something out of it. So that became really complicated. But at the same time, it was still simple. It's just that you had to have the material on hand beforehand. Essential oils, so much easier. So I'm not trying to say that there's not a place for herbology, but they're like, I still use a lot of herbs. Like sometimes I will actually, like sometimes the ginger essential oil, way too strong. Like making lemon ginger tea with like lemon rinds and then some ginger that's fresh bought from the store, because honestly nothing can really replace that. So but yeah, so as I digress, but so as we go back to essential oils, there are many different types of essential oils as we kind of get more into the subject matter at hand. The 4 grades of essential oil are going to be the synthetic, the food grade, the therapeutic grade, as well as the certified pure therapeutic grade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be, because I present to a lot of different types of conventions and things like that, please forgive me if I say things that are non-compliant. I am a member of doTERRA, which is a multi-level marketing company that sells essential oils. I always joke that it's a personal development company that happens to sell essential oils, but once again, I digress. But I'm going to try to make this as neutral as possible, because one of the main reasons why I'm doing this is because I really feel that the information needs to get out there. Essential oils are a very potent and powerful tool in order to help people understand the basics and fundamentals of energy work without really knowing what they're doing. So say, for example, if somebody's just like, well, I heard that lemon is supposed to be really great for my solar plexus, and I have no idea what it does. But what that lemon essential oil does is that when somebody starts applying it, they don't have to think as hard, because the essential oils do all the work for them. I'm not saying that those people are not well educated, but for somebody that is starting off on their path, essential oils are perfect to their everyday lives. So synthetic grade, that's going to be the first type that's going to be out there of the essential oils. These are the ones that that are most commonly found. This is maybe about 70% of the essential oil market, maybe closer to 80. I don't know. most of the statistics that are out there are made up anyway. So I'm just kind of throwing things out there. So just kind of grab onto things. But synthetic grade are actually replicated in a laboratory to well, they are extracted from natural plants and replicated in a laboratory to kind of smell like the things found in nature, so to speak. So they tend to be a lot of chemicals, and you can find these on like the fragrance, especially if you have like a air freshener or if you have chemical spray stuff of some kind. If you look on the bottle, I am a big label reader, so if you look on the side of the bottle, you'll be able to notice things like fragrance and either that or like essential oils. Like they don't really have a specific smell to them. That's because they're made up. So so yeah, that's going to be most of the essential oils that are found out in the market. That are being used in combination with a lot of the different chemicals and things that are over the counter that you can purchase. So they have little to no therapeutic grade or little to no therapeutic value. So when a person says, I want to get lavender essential oil because I heard that it's really great for sleep, and then they buy it from the store, or they buy like lavender scented air freshener, and they are curious as to why they want to vomit instead of actually being sleepy. That is another question to kind of throw into one's mind of, am I actually ingesting chemicals or smelling chemicals? Or yeah, it can be kind of confusing. So moving on from there, a little bit more of a therapeutic quality is going to be the food grade. So the food grade is going to be the next most common thing that you find. Sometimes you can find these like $2 bottles of essential oil that are sitting on the shelf of like, say, Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or like however many other stores that you want to list out there. A lot of the natural and organic stuff has it. I'm not saying that these are wrong, that they are bad to use, but they hold little to no therapeutic benefit. They're going to be a lot better than the chemical ones that are out there. I mean, trust me. But but especially when you get into the food grade, you have to do your research behind the company. So what I mean by research behind the company is that you have to find out if they do testing on it. And this is also true for the therapeutic as well as the certified pure therapeutic. I'm going to start condensing some more of these things, but kind of differentiate more between the different types of grades in just a moment. But with the food grade, sometimes you can still get some essential oil, because what an essential oil is a more concentrated version of a plant because it has been distilled in some way. So the two main ways on how to get a therapeutic quality grade of essential oil is going to be steam distillation or cold press. So the cold press is going to be more like the citrus type of oils, such as your lemon, your bergamot, your or bergamot, however you say it, your bergamot, your tangerine, things like that. And then the steam distillation is going to be with a majority of the rest of them. You can do things like alcohol distillation. I do know a lot of different. I used to use essential oils that were from alcohol distillation. Vanilla Absolute, that is another example of one that is done through alcohol distillation. But yeah, so those are just some different things. Going back to the food grade, sometimes you can have a bulk herb that has been procured. Like, say, for example, a company buys like 1,000 pounds of lavender. So when they buy the 1,000 pounds of lavender and they want to distill it themselves, then they will go ahead and as they distill it, they could either add a chemical filler or something thereof in order to produce a greater yield. So it's still technically lavender essential oil, but if somebody has a reaction to that type of essential oil, then are they really having a reaction to the essential oil itself, or are they having a reaction to the chemical filler that has been added to it in order to produce a greater yield? A lot of manufacturer companies will not put this information on the label, so please be careful. I'm not here to tell you like the word of God, what is supposed to be said, and oh, you're supposed to use this brand or you're supposed to use this brand. What I'm encouraging you to do is to do your own research. So if you're curious about some of the different ones that are out there, please do your own research. So the step up from the food grade would be the synthetic grade. So these are going to be a little bit more manageable. So these, you can definitely walk in off of the store and you'll be able to smell them. Okay, so it passed the vomit test. I don't have to vomit in order to use this oil. All right, this seems good. So you do want to pay attention, because sometimes with some of the ones for the therapeutic grade, you can still see that it says do not apply on skin, and et cetera, et cetera. The more pure that you get with essential oils, the better that it's going to be. So in that way, because the traditional way that you're supposed to use them is aromatically, topically, and internally. So internally, please use with caution, because a lot of the problems that I have seen that people have run into is because they have been misinformed by other people that have been a part of some other multi-level marketing companies, or even a part of doTERRA, and they have been misinformed and say, oh yeah, you can go ahead and drink this amount of oil. No, please do your own research. I kind of view the essential oils that are as medicine. So, I mean, please be aware of the types of essential oils that you are purchasing, as well as the essential oils that are kind of out there, and do your own research. So the therapeutic grade, as we go up, sorry, I'm digressing everywhere, yay. So, but the therapeutic grade. So say, for example, they don't have any fillers. They don't cut it with another oil, like say jojoba oil or coconut oil, any other types of oil like that. So they've passed all of those things. So what's left? So you have the therapeutic grade, which is going to be a step up. Once again, do your own research. But sometimes what ends up happening is that if the company is using like a third-party source, such as like the farmers and everything like that, they have to be very aware of how to actually harvest the plant material itself. So with essential oils, you can get them from the bark, you can get them from the stems, the leaves, the roots, all sorts of different things, because we have cinnamon essential oil, we have cypress essential oil, and we have, but the thing is that sometimes you can have the same oil or the same plant, but different parts, which produces different oils. So say, for example, cilantro and coriander, those are two different essential oils, but they come from the same plant, and they come from different parts of the plant. So sometimes when you look on the side of an essential oil bottle and it says contains whole plant parts, do a little bit more research on the essential oil company. So another thing to be wary about when looking into the therapeutic quality is that sometimes they may do a lot of the right harvesting techniques, but you don't really know that because they can't really fit all that stuff onto the label. So when, so as you kind of go through and do all that stuff, another thing that, that you should worry about is that when they are getting the essential oil themselves, essential oils are 50 to 70 times more potent than dried or powdered herbs. So say, for example, a company or the farmer, before it gets to the actual company itself, the farmers will procure and harvest all of the different plant material. But say, for example, that there are some weeds in there as well. So if the essential oil is going to be 50 to 70 times more potent, then what is that going to do to the weed? That is also going to make it 50 to 75 times more potent. So if somebody has an allergic reaction to an essential oil and they apply it on their skin, they break out into a rash, are they actually allergic to the essential oil, or are they allergic to the weed that has also been procured, that has been put into it because of improper handling techniques and harvesting techniques? So all of these hurdles, there are all of these hurdles in order to actually choose an essential oil, which is why I advocate for people finding more information out there. So the certified pure therapeutic grade, honestly speaking, the doTERRA has kind of coined that, but I know that Young Living also has their own version of that as well. So I don't want to be ignorant of it, but there is no FDA standard or regulation that says it's certified pure therapeutic grade, but or whatever the Young Living equivalent is. However, is that I know that I trust doTERRA. That's one of the reasons why I use their essential oils, is because I've been to their convention and I've also have used the oils, and their oils are beyond superior in my opinion. So they, like, all of their stuff is beyond organic. They do their research, and they actually have a barrage of, I think it's like 7 to 9 different types of testing that they do on their essential oils. Like, they do some standard testing, like as they package up the essential oil from the place that they procure it at, and then they also do more testing once it gets to the bottling company. So there are many hands in the mixture, but I actually trust them. Like, my truth cord resonates when I hear anything or see anything or do anything with doTERRA. That's why I'm encouraging you to do your own research. So if you're interested in learning anything more about that, feel free to send me a text message or to shoot me an email or a Facebook message, anything like that. And I can definitely tell you how to get a hold of more oils in case of you don't have any, or you are just kind of thrown into, or you can talk to the person that invited you to this webinar. So, as we move on, that's what essential oils are. So now, how do we start applying it to energy work? Well, one of the major complaints that I get, not really complaints, but one of the major things that I work with people with are people that are so-called empaths. So I am an empath, and I label myself as an empath. But the thing is that to be empathic is a normal human skill. So a person is supposed to know, oh, hey, that person's upset. Either that, or they're supposed to know, hey, that person's really having a bad day. So once again, this kind of goes on with the merging of the mental as well as the emotional bodies and how they overlap onto the physical. So a lot of the time when somebody says, man, that person's really upset, but they haven't said anything, and they haven't heard anything or saw anything or anything like that, that all of this is energy, and it's being transmitted along different vibrations or different frequencies. So one of the first things that I'll start talking about is shielding, just because some people that remark themselves to be empathic, which is a normal basic human skill, then sometimes what happens is that our connections are facilitated through the heart chakra. So when we interact with somebody, we are actually interacting with our heart chakra, and we are connecting these invisible threads between everybody that we make a connection with. However, sometimes if you are engaging with a person and their energy is not the healthiest, because a lot of people do not know what it means to take care of their energy body. A lot of people don't even know that they have an energy body. So this is, again, where education comes in. But as you're interacting with somebody and engaging with them through their heart chakra, and you know that they're really super upset, and you want to try and help them, make them feel better, but then you talk to them about it, and then they feel really great, because then it's just like, wow, I'm so great that you helped me through this problem. And then the person that's on the original end feels drained after talking to them, or drained because it's just like, man, you were sad, now I'm really sad, and now we're crying together, and we're watching a movie on HGTV or the Lifetime channel or whatever it is, and we're crying our eyes out watching, like, with a bowl of popcorn, and let's just eat away. Like, that can kind of be aided with essential oils, because the essential oils have this wonderful mechanism of being able to help boost the aura. So the aura is this fancy little cloud, energetic cloud that everybody has around their personal body. And a lot of the time, if we can't fit stuff inside of our actual body, it overflows into the aura. So sometimes if a person is really super happy, if anybody has really been around me for a long period of time, or if they've met me in person, they can tell that most of the time I'm generally a very happy-go-lucky person. And that's because I keep this clean. I keep inside of my energetic body very clean and pure. I make sure to do like the energetic hygiene stuff. But then in my aura, it's kind of like, happiness and sunshine and rainbows, and it's great. But for other people that don't know how to take care of that, it can float around like dirt. Like, you know how sometimes when you're just interacting with a person and you just feel really dirty around them, it's probably because they're not taking care of their energetic body. Like, I wish that I could let people know how to take energetic showers, but I mean, it is what it is. And so the first thing that we do is protect ourselves energetically. So some of the things that we do as I reach in here, as I start, is they have what's called doTERRA has a protective blend, which has cinnamon as well as orange and clove and a couple of other different things. These essential oils in combination will actually help create a nice firm boundary. So then that way, if, say, for example, you do want to go talk to this person or talk to your best friend or a family member that is having a really rough day, in order to prevent myself from getting to the point where I want to cry and watch TV with them and watch Lifetime movies, I actually prepare myself by putting on the protective blend. So, and depending on how severe you want the boundaries to be reinforced, dictates which essential oils would be better for you. So there are some people that resonate more with the more woodsy type of essential oils. So there's Arbor Vitae, which is going to be a very strong masculine type of boundary setter. One of the reasons, and let me just kind of pause here for a moment before I explain a little bit more. But I lost track. Time for me to put on some essential oils. But yeah, okay. So the woodsy types of scents, they will they help with boundary reinforcements. Okay, that's what I was about to say. The difference between shielding and boundary reinforcement. So shielding, in my opinion, I know that there are a lot of people that I interact with that are pagan. I identify as pagan myself, but and there is this big, huge thing of shielding. Shielding is good. Shielding is very good. However, I have found that over time, if people constantly leave their shields up, which a shield is pretty much just an energetic construct that somebody puts in their aura, and to kind of help protect them from energetic onslaughts or blah, 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 blah. So I don't think that, in my opinion, I don't think that people should leave their shields up for a very long time. I find that shields are very valuable and useful, but over time they can be a drain because you have to keep constantly feeding your shields because they will come down over time. And then because I view that boundaries are a little bit more effective because they help in terms of being able to say, I want this type of stuff in, but I don't want this type of stuff in. So when working with people that want to do visualization techniques, I try to have them see some sort of filter. And so in combination with visualization techniques, the essential oils, perfect. It's really good. So, all right. So now that I've explained that definition between shielding and between boundary setting, which this is kind of, when I say shielding, I don't mean I'm going to leave shields up all the time. It's going to be more boundary setting. So Arbor Vitae, very masculine. And it's also kind of like the bodyguard. So if you do not want somebody to come inside, or if you know that you're going to be talking to an extremely toxic person, or say, for example, that you've got a very confrontational and aggressive coworker or friend or relative, and you're going to some sort of thing, then Arbor Vitae is probably going to be your best friend. However, it is a very strong and overpowering scent. So it's kind of like tit for tat because each one of these essential oils has a different type of smell and energy resonating along with it. So this is just kind of, in my experience, what I have seen to be the most effective in the topics that we're going to dive into. So that is good. That is a good one. Let's see. The cinnamon, the protective blend that I was talking about, that is more masculine, but not as masculine as Arbor Vitae. And the protective blend is really good because it it's a little bit, it has more of a citrusy smell to it, so it doesn't repel people as horribly as Arbor Vitae does. Because sometimes it's a really good thing, because I have actually applied Arbor Vitae on, and I've had people walk away from me. And yeah, it really does enforce boundaries, because sometimes the smell can be pretty strong. So uh, so there's the protective blend, which is also a good one, and the repellent blend. I don't know how else to say it, but this is the mixture that has like citronella, as well as lemongrass and a few other types of essential oils in them. If anyone wants a sample of this, feel free to send me a message, and I'll be happy to send you a sample of these. But yeah, the repellent blend is the one that is a little bit more feminine. So for somebody that wants to be more gentle and still wants to be very open to what another person has to say, or open to to the situation, then the repellent blend is really good in accenting, as well as kind of reinforcing some of those boundaries. So then that way, a person can still enter into your energetic field or into your aura, and you still won't feel violated, and you won't take on their stuff, but it's not going to be as strong as, well, that is not the proper terminology which I want to portray, but it's not the fact that one is stronger or weaker than the other, but it's just what type of technique do you want to apply behind it. So, and most of the time when applying it, visualizing techniques in combination with applying them for energy work purposes have actually helped solidify the purpose behind it. So some people, they will get like some sort of secondary side effect to saying, okay, I don't want to put up with this coworker's crap, so I'm going to put this essential oil on the bottoms of my feet because I know that it's supposed to work. But the thing is that if it kind of becomes automatically, if it becomes automatic, then it's not going to be authentic, and it's not going to be as impactful as if you were to apply it with intention. So that is another key thing when learning how to use the essential oils in combination with energy work. So yes, the repellent blend. And I have this box here of essential oils. So I'm just kind of looking through all of them. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that I'm going to also just go ahead and how am I doing on time? Hey, it's 7:36. Okay, so so I'm pretty sure that it'll. I wish that this was like Google Hangouts, where people could ask questions and everything, because I see like a good amount of people are on here, but yeah, because I actually love feeding off of participants and everything like that. Cassia is another good one to add to boundary reinforcement. So the way that I differentiate between cassia and cinnamon, because they are in the same species. Wait, I'm sorry, my taxonomy is off, like my biological classification, etc., etc. So please don't get offended. But like the difference between cassia as well as cinnamon is that they are very much the same. A lot of spice companies will actually just label something as cinnamon when really it's cassia. So what I have found is that cassia is kind of like the old man, and cinnamon is more of like a younger, more type of robust type of essential oil. So they have their different energies about them in terms of how you want to interact. So if say, for example, that you're coming up with a confrontational person, and it happens to, like, you want a little bit more maturity to it, and you want a little bit more, all right, I want to be able to enforce it, and I don't want to take no crap. Cassia is probably going to be your better bet. Cinnamon is very young. Emotionally speaking, it is very good in terms of like a sexual type of healthy type of thing. So if you don't want to be off-putting in that way, then cinnamon is going to be like, hey baby, how you doing? You can, yeah, don't pass these boundary lines, but you know, you look kind of sexy. So that's kind of how I view cinnamon. So they as I said, this all comes from experimentation. So other people might get different things, but this is how they come across to me, because this might sound crazy, but I talk to plants. So the thing is that they talk back. And I teach classes on if you're interested in learning how to talk to plants and to talk back, but that's a different subject matter. So in case, because I feel that that question's popping up somewhere, that that people are questioning, how does she know all of this stuff, and how is she getting these personalities of these plants? Well, these plants are actually, like, the way that I facilitate communication with them, that is how they interact with me. And once again, that's on the 3 invisible types of fields, with the mental, emotional, and spiritual aspect of things. So I'm not interacting, like, I'm not literally physically talking to an oil when I'm putting it on and making it look like that I'm a crazy person. I mean, I'm doing this in the spiritual realm, as well as the mental and emotional realm of how I'm connecting with them. So yes, all right. So I think that that's a good segue into going into the next topic, which is talked about shielding and boundary setting. So we'll go into centering as well as grounding. So I know that I've talked about this a little bit more in the last, the failed attempt at the webinar last week. But I'll just go ahead and recap, just in case you didn't watch the 30 minutes of failure. But there is a fundamental difference between grounding and centering. There are some cosmologies which pair them both, and that is great. That is wonderful, as long as the information is getting out there. But I find that there is a value in distinction between grounding as well as centering. So how to explain this in a feasible manner? Grounding is when we have a lot of energy in our energy body and we don't know what to do with it, or it is in surplus and there is an excess of energy and it's just kind of going around everywhere. And so with Western contemporary culture, our American society, whenever we have this excess of energy, it's not down here. It's usually all the way up here. So that is a very good reason why grounding is a very good energetic tool. If you would like support on that, I can definitely help. Feel free to shoot me a message or contact me after this webinar. But grounding is a visualization technique, or a technique that is used in order to get that excess energy and push it out through into the earth. The earth is the most common place, hence why it's called grounding. But the earth is the most common place to put this excess amount of energy. Centering is if, say, for example, we're really super chaotic and scattered, like, say, for example, me doing this webinar, then what usually ends up happening is that the energy is all over the place. And so you can definitely tell if somebody's like really super scattered. They leave things in different places. They pick up one thing and, like, say, for example, they accidentally throw their keys in the trash and then they put their banana peel in the ignition. So I've done that. But yeah, that centering can actually help with the complexity that is scatteredness. So centering brings everything back into a focused type of mind frame. Meanwhile, grounding takes excess energy if you have way too much of it. Like, say, for example, a lot of the time, if somebody, this is in a majority of the cases, but if somebody has an excess of energy in their in their energetic body, it tends to stay up, and that leads prone to anxiety. So, and that is just kind of an excess energy of, sometimes it feels like that things are moving like this, like, oh wow, that is really cool on the, sorry. But sometimes the excess energy is moving like this. And so centering will actually be able to minimize the waves and distortion and be able to bring it to a center and a more focused type of light. Meanwhile, the grounding will actually be able to take that surplus of energy and be able to push it out into the ground, or it can help redirect it in certain ways. But that's energy manipulation, will be covered later. So that is the fundamental difference between centering as well as grounding. Different oils to help in combination with that. My favorite tends to be cypress for grounding, but that is because it's one of my favorite smells. So the tree type of smells or the root type of smells, those types of essential oils are going to be extra valuable in terms of being able to pull the energy back down into yourself. A lot of the time, a majority of different practices will use a tree type of meditation in order to help ground out the energy and to help push through your system. So in combination with the essential oils, it really will help. And I'm actually going to do it now. I will demonstrate. I'm going to use white fir just because I've been addicted to white fir lately. So I have them in these tiny little bottles, but you probably have like a bigger bottle at home or something thereof. But what you do is you just place a drop or two in the palms of your hands. You rub your hands together and then you breathe it in. And as you do that, what's happening is that the aromatic compounds of the essential oils are entering into your respiratory system. And your respiratory system is directly linked with the limbic system and then the amygdala. So the amygdala is the control center in the brain, which is responsible for the emotions as well as blood pressure and breathing and heart rate and all this other fancy stuff, like the autonomic nervous system. And so that is why aromatherapy works, if you use the proper grade of essential oil, that is. But but that is also why sometimes some smells can be linked to memory, is because it's attached to the amygdala in that part of the brain. So what you just saw me demonstrate is just a very short, quick, simple type of a visualization where I breathed it in and I concentrated on the smell of the essential oil, and I just visualized that I was a tree. And then I just pulled the energy down and I pushed it out through the bottoms of my feet. So sometimes some signs or symptoms of somebody that is ungrounded is if they are speaking really fast, like I usually do. And but then if they become more grounded, you'll notice that you're able to keep up with their speech a little bit more. You're able to process the information that they are handing you in a more palatable sense. And yeah, those are just kind of some different signs and techniques and things like that. But yeah, that's the basis of what I do, but I just pair it with different types of visualizations. So if you do see me use any more of the essential oils, that is the most effective way, in my opinion, that the essential oils can get delivered to your respiratory system. So a lot of other people will use diffusers. Diffusers are really great, and there's a whole bunch of fancy other types of mechanisms that you can use. But the most basic one that I find the most effective is putting it in your palm of your hand and then just breathing it in. So yeah. That's good. I sound like Darth Vader now. So, so yeah, white fir, also very good. Cypress, I tend to do a lot of veil work. So with people that have either passed on or things like that, the cypress is a really good way for me to facilitate communication with that aspect of the spiritual realm. Let me see. Balance. I said I was going to be compliant. The grounding blend is a really good one. I want to say that has spruce, blue tansy, frankincense, and a couple of other different essential oils in combination, which is really good for grounding because it has those type of tree bark type of smells. So you can apply this to a lot of the different other ones that are out there, but everyone is going to resonate to a different type of essential oil. So some people really love arbor vitae, while other people will walk out of the room because you put some on your feet and then put on shoes and then socks and et cetera, et cetera. So it depends on what your energetic body most attunes to. So for some people, white fir might be really good. For other people, wintergreen might be really good. And so on a physical aspect, like a lot of the grounding ones happen to be analgesic in quality. So what analgesic means is pain relieving. So, and it's just because it kind of helps ground things out. And it's like a similar type of thing in a lot of the essential oils that you see out there. in terms of mild pain relief or anything like that. So that's why like Tiger Balm and things like that, they have like the minty type of smell to them. So like in the wintergreen, and wintergreen is good for grounding. So once again, intention is key in how you apply it. Let's see. So yeah, yeah. All right. So then moving into centering. So say for example, and the thing is that I actually view almost all essential oils to be centering. So just because I have noticed in my own energetic body, as well as in the energetic body of those that I interact with that use essential oils on a more consistent basis than a lot of the other people that are out there, I do notice that a lot of the time when our energy is a little bit frazzled or frayed at the ends, essential oils will be able to help bring that in. So once again, it's a very good tool. Some people meditate, other people do yoga, some people do Tai Chi, other people do martial arts. I do essential oils in combinations with all of those things because it's a perfect way to accent any practice. And it will help bring a state of groundedness as well as centering to a lot of the different practices that are out there because it's coupled with aromatherapy. So let me see what time we got. Oh, hey, it's 7:50. So so I guess I'll just kind of run through a couple of the different ones. Lemongrass is really good for purging. I had that in my newsletter for January. I want to say January or February. The lemongrass is really good for helping clear stuff out. So a lot of the time what ends up happening is that we walk around with repressed emotions because we're American. And and so because sometimes some people don't want to talk about certain things, that kind of accumulates on the mental or the emotional body, and it can inhabit in our physical body. And sometimes that can come across as a stress or a strain. Like say for example that if a person works behind a desk and they are extremely stressed, you will start to notice that as they go in, they might have their shoulders back and they might be, yeah, I'm ready to take on the day. But then towards the end of the day, they're more hunched like this. And it's because they're carrying all of their stress, which is putting that energetic weight onto their physical body. So lemongrass in combination with applying it on different areas will help facilitate the release of that excess energy. I'm not saying it's not going to help you deal with some of that stuff, but sometimes it can be a catharsis of some sorts. So once again, if you would like any additional help or support on this, feel free to message. But yeah, and lemongrass is also really good to start diffusing if you want to get rid of things or if you're purging. If you know that you're supposed to have some sort of catharsis, because it's actually really hard for me to cry. So so sometimes if I really do want to have a cry fest, I either have to talk to somebody about it because they're saying, what's wrong? Or I put on some lemongrass. And then that in and of itself is able to help me recognize, okay, so I have a blockage that is preventing me from having this catharsis. So let me go ahead and use this tool in order to help me get that result. Another example of a very centering one I find is ylang ylang. In combination with the woman's blend, which has ylang ylang as well as lavender, lavandin, and a couple of other really good things in there. That in and of itself is very centering. Vetiver. Vetiver is a good one for grounding because it's a root. So where doTERRA gets it from is Haiti. And so as they procure it and everything, you can see videos on YouTube. It's actually really cool. But they take it and then they anyway, the the vetiver is really strong in combination with a couple of different things. It's very potent, but for people that tend to have a lot of mental stimulation, the vetiver will help draw it down into the roots, which also in combination with that visualization technique of pretending that you're a tree, it will be able to help push down that energy. So then that way you can ground a little bit more effectively. So then that way your energy is not all up in your head. Citrus oils. Really great in combination. If, say, for example, what I tend to find, I am not saying that this is concrete in a lot of the different examples that are out there, but what I tend to find is a lot of the people who are depressed or who are sad about things, they tend to have their center be really super low. The citrus oils will actually help bring their center up. So then that way they are able to function in a little bit more higher frequency. So a lot of the people who have a lot of sadness, you will notice that they tend to shrink down more, or they will tend to hunch their shoulders a lot more, or they just feel heavy. That seems to be the biggest complaint with people with an overwhelming amount of sadness, which can lead to depression. But and it can be for various causes and for various reasons. What I find is that the citrus oils, in combination with some of those centering techniques of being able to visualize pulling everything in and focusing it, I have actually found that it lifts it up in a positive manner. So yeah, I guess that since we'll talk about that, then lavender is also a really good one if the opposite is happening. So if you notice that you have a lot of excess thoughts that are kind of running through your head at a mile a minute, your energy's going like this and you don't know what the F is going on, then some things like lavender or the calming blend or vetiver, like vetiver will be able to help concentrate and then just shoot it down, kind of like you're pointing a shotgun into the middle of the earth, which is not good. I don't recommend doing that. But it's very simple and very effective and very grounding. But yeah, for some of the more gentler ones, like say, for example, somebody notices that their center is more towards their like their crown or their third eye or their throat. Sometimes some people will say that it seems like that there's something stuck in their throat, or that's usually indicative of their center being there because they're thinking about saying something. So lavender is also the oil of communication and the oil of truth. So sometimes applying lavender to that specific area will, in combination, be able to help bring your center down. So then that way it gets seated in your solar plexus. And it also is able to help facilitate strength in communication. So then that way you can speak your truth without looking like an idiot or feeling like you're looking like an idiot. So yeah, because in my opinion, I find that the center is the healthiest in the solar plexus, because the solar plexus chakra is the one that's yellow, and it is our power, like our power spot. So this is where we carry a lot of our energy and our sense of self. So this is where we connect with others and how our view kind of how other people view us, as well as how we view ourselves. All of those patterns are established in the solar plexus. Some of the really great ones that I find, because a lot of the time, if you're human, you're going to be interacting with people and you're going to pick up random crap. So one of the reasons why I always suggest lemon is because lemon vibrates really well with the solar plexus. So as you can tell, lemon is also really great for detoxing. So lemon and lemongrass, they're kind of the same, huh? But it's really good for being able to help let go and differentiate what's yours and what's not yours. Because a lot of the time with some people that are empathic, that going back to the grounding and the boundary setting that I was explaining before, if you do happen to be empathic, sometimes what ends up happening is that conversation sticks with you throughout the day, and you notice that that you're having those same emotions as that other person was feeling. So a lot of the time when we carry around those excess emotions that aren't ours, then that lemon will help be able to separate and differentiate. So then that way we can maintain our own sense of self back. So when we have our power, like when we have our center in our solar plexus, I tend to use the putting lemon in the palm of your hand and being able to rub it together and then breathe it in. That's a really good way for people to, in combination, be able to differentiate their own sense of self, their own individuality, their own energy, and be able to help pry it away from other people's stuff, as well as being able to have their power center be more rooted in themselves. Instead of, if it's in the heart, which it's not a bad thing to have your center in your heart, but I find it to be more empowering if it is in your solar plexus. And mind you, the center moves all the time. So it's not like I'm going to ground and I'm going to center and I'm going to have it right in my solar plexus all day. No, it's going to be moving around. And the thing that I want to have people open up to is the fact of awareness. Where is your center? If you are in a very challenging situation, then kind of pay attention. Oh, geez, I just kind of hunched my shoulders. And a lot of the reason why that people, they flinch or they kind of hunch their shoulders a lot is because they want to protect their heart. And when they have their energetic center in their heart, a lot of people tend to be bleeding hearts and tend to self-sacrifice, or they will say, oh no, don't worry about that, I'll go ahead and take care of that. And so yeah, it's good to establish boundaries as well as grounding and centering, which is kind of the core basis of why I decided to teach this webinar. So the timing is 7:59. I am actually ending on time. And if you would like any support or follow up, then you can definitely reach out to me at eagletherapies@gmail.com, or you can call or text 571-306-3197. And I hope that you guys had a very good time with me. And I thank you guys so much, because this is the first time that I'm using the Google Air and it being okay. So yeah, pass this webinar along to your friends. Some of the future ones that I will be doing are essential oils and pets, as well as essential like emergency preparedness and pets. So if you're interested in having me teach at any of your venues or conferences or anything, just also feel free to shoot me a message, or you can kind of share the link to the webinar, because it will be on the Eagle Therapies YouTube channel. All right, thank you guys very much.